Hey, what is going on, guys? My name is Gamertag, and I am back for your daily Fortnite video. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys an XP glitch or method, whatever you like to refer to it as, that's going to allow you to continuously receive XP and level up periodically. And the best part about this method is that it is entirely AFK, meaning once you start it, you can go watch YouTube, go watch a movie, you can go do homework, literally whatever you want. As long as you leave this on in the background, you will be receiving XP over and over again and leveling up. So I'll be sharing with you guys how to set this up in just a few minutes and use this for yourself. And to give back for the holidays, every video I'm going to be giving away a Christmas themed skin from the item shop. So all you have to do to enter is use supported creator code ending-gamertag in the item shop, and also comment down below your Epic Games name once you have done so. And that's all you have to do to enter the giveaway, and I'll be gifting one person a Christmas themed skin. So firstly, to explain the concept of this XP glitch or method. First of all, you cannot get banned from this, so do not worry about that. But if you guys did not know, when you play creative, if you're in a creative game, you actually do receive XP periodically. Every 15 minutes, you're given 6,300 XP. So what we're doing is we're creating a method that basically allows our player to constantly be moving around even when we're not there. We can set down our controller, we can leave, and our player is still going to be moving around, and we're still going to be getting that XP every single 15 minutes, even if we're not there. So that's how this glitch works, and let's talk about how you guys can do this for yourselves. So this method is utilizing something that I call the loop. The loop is basically anything in Fortnite that allows your player to continuously be moving and never standing still. And I'll explain why this is important here in a few minutes. So we're going to start by loading into creative. So now that we're in the creative hub, we're actually going to walk forward to our own island, believe it or not, and we're actually going to use this console right here to create a new island. So first of all, you're going to go ahead, click on this to create a new one. It's going to ask you which island you prefer. Really just use any island that has an open area, so the top row is probably going to be the best for this method. So I select the Arctic island for holiday theme, of course. It's then going to ask you to name it and confirm it. So from here we can now confirm it, of course, and then go inside of the island. So now that we are here in the island, we're going to begin building what I consider the loop. This really is just going to be any build that allows our player in game to continuously move and never stop moving. So we're going to start this by pressing up on the D-pad, going to the creative tab, and going to devices. You're going to want to go all the way down so you find these three devices. It's going to be the ice blocks, bouncers, and speed boost. And believe it or not, they're actually going to all be right beside each other. So go ahead and equip like 30 to 40 each, and we can now back out of this tab. So to place these down in creative, it's essentially going to be the exact same thing as placing down a trap in your game. Now we can begin building the first loop, and what this is, it's going to be 5 walls long. So you guys can see 5 walls we place down and a width of 1 wall. So you guys can see it's basically 5 by 1. It's going to be like a little rectangle, I guess. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to begin placing down the traps to start the loop. So for this particular one, we're going to use a bunch of speed boosts on the ground like so. And then at the wall at the very end, we're actually going to place a bouncer onto the wall. And then at the very start, again, we're going to place this final speed boost. So you guys can see basically it's a lane of speed boosts that leads you into a bouncer. And you can also place a couple walls at the start, and this is going to act as a barrier so we never get sent flying outside of it. So basically, now that you have started it, you can just land onto the speed boost, and you guys can see how this first method works. Basically, the speed boosts are going to throw us constantly into the bouncer. The bouncer is going to bounce us all the way back to the beginning, and it's basically a never-ending cycle. So this is how we create the first loop. Definitely not my favorite, but a very simple and beginner way if you want. And again, the concept of this is so our player is constantly moving over and over again, and we're never kicked out of the game due to inactivity. The game registers that we're playing because our player is constantly moving. So again, this is the first method, definitely a beginner method, and I'll now share with you guys probably my favorite way of creating the loop. So this structure is actually going to be set up the exact same way. We're going to once again build pretty much the same rectangle. It's going to be 5 walls long and 1 wall wide. So it's this very, very narrow rectangle. However, on both edges inside, you're actually going to want to place a staircase down, as well as a wall above the staircase. So basically from here, we're actually going to begin placing down ice traps on everything on the inside. So every floor and staircase is going to be covered by an ice trap, and you guys can see essentially what it looks like from here. And then at the very end, the wall above the staircase, we're going to place a bouncer, and I also recommend you place the walls a bit higher. This will act as a barrier so we'll never get sent flying outside of this loop in particular. And pretty much now you have like the main thing set up, and lastly, just want to replace any of the ice traps on the floor with a speed boost. So go ahead and do that. This is going to allow us to be non-stop moving. If we didn't have the speed boost here, our player would eventually come to a standstill. So basically, you guys can see I then go ahead and place a speed boost down onto the ground, and you've actually completed the second loop. This one again is definitely my favorite and probably the most efficient of this video. When you start it, you basically just drop down onto this first ramp, you'll go sliding, the speed boost will send you flying into the bounce pad, and it will be pretty much a non-stop loop. Again, this one is definitely my favorite of this video because of how well it works. And then for the final loop of this video, again, I'm only showing you all of these just in case you want to use one over the other, or if you're doing this with another player in a game, it's better to have maybe one or two so you guys can use separate ones. So this one is actually going to be a bit larger, but definitely as simple. It's basically going to be a huge square. It's going to be 5 walls by 5 walls, and then on the entire inside, like literally the entire floor, is going to be covered by ice traps. So it's kind of like an ice skating rink as of right now. And then the last thing we're going to be placing down to finish off this loop is on every single corner, we're going to be placing down bounce pads. So again, you can think of this as like a skating rink realistically, with bounce pads on every single corner, and really that's all you have to do for this loop. One thing I would recommend is also to make the walls a bit higher to act as a barrier, because sometimes you can go flying outside of it. But once you have finished, you have now created basically the third loop. This one's definitely not my favorite, however it does work just as well. And the reason this works so well is because, again, we don't want to basically just be bouncing back and forth on bounce pads. This really isn't going to help us. At some point, our player needs to be hitting the ground and moving. So what this does is, even when you are sitting around just flying in the air on bounce pads, eventually your player will get caught on the wall, and it will then slow you down, and at some point you will be gliding on the ground. So those are all 3 of the loops that I really recommend for this particular method. Again, I think all of them work just as well, however I do like the second one that I showed the most. So once we've gone ahead and created the loops, we can now begin the process. So we're going to go over to our island settings, and over in the game tab, we're going to go all the way down to where it says time limit. So by default, it will be set to 5 minutes. We definitely want to change this, because if you leave it at 5 minutes, well, the game's only going to last for 5 minutes, and this method realistically is rendered useless. So you want to go ahead and change this. I really recommend putting it to none, so no time limit, and then you can go ahead and start the game. So as the game begins, you want to go ahead and glide down to whichever method you're going to be using. So again, if you're doing this with another player, maybe there's a few of you in the creative lobby, you all need to go into your own separate one. So for here, I chose this one. This one's again my favorite, and basically you just begin the loop. You literally just sit there. You can go AFK, you can do whatever you want at this point. Go watch a YouTube video, go watch a movie, go out of the house. You can literally do anything that you want with this going on in the background. And you guys can see this one works so well that I literally had to try to get out of the loop. Like I was trying to glide out, and eventually I was able to squeeze outside of this wall. And I'm only doing this again just to show you guys how efficient this particular one is. But again, that's really all you need to do in order to begin the loop and start this method. Now at the top right, you can see a counter counting down, and this is because creative does have a time limit even if you select none, and I believe it's like 3 hours and 45 minutes. So once you do come back and the timer has run out, you can actually go ahead and restart it and literally just do this over and over and over and over again. Now there is a bit of confusion and gray area in regards to this particular XP method, because a lot of people say that you can only receive XP 5 times per hour, and what that means is we would have to restart this every single hour. And yet I had a different experience where I was actually able to get XP over and over again for the entirety of these 3 hours and 45 minutes. So for whatever reason, as odd as it seems to be that it is an individual basis. So for some people, this method will work for the entirety of 4 hours, and for other people, you might have to reset it every 1 hour. So I really just recommend that you pay attention and figure out which works for you. But regardless, that is how you guys can actually create the loop in creative and essentially just use it as an XP glitch or method, whatever you like to refer to it as. Again, do not worry, you won't get banned for this because this really isn't bannable. It's actually been in the game for the entirety of chapter 2. However, it is just now surfacing in the Fortnite community. Now, of course, if you guys enjoyed today's video or found it helpful, a like would be beyond appreciated down below. And of course, on the contrary, if you genuinely disliked today's video, then feel free to leave a dislike. And of course, if you're new around here and would like to see more daily Fortnite content like this in the future, then feel free to subscribe as well as turning on those post notifications. And if you'd like to further support the channel, make sure to use code ending-gamertag in the item shop. Nonetheless, my name is ending-gamertag. Thank you all for watching today's video, and I'll see you tomorrow. Adios.